The transition into a new year is a special time, on both an individual and collective level. All over the world, people celebrate the event in unique ways according to their traditional calendars and local customs. In the Western world, we celebrate the civil New Year on the night between the 31st of December and the 1st of January, according to the Gregorian calendar, the most widely used dating system starting with the late 16th century. For many people, New Year's night is a promise of great changes and perfect beginnings, a return to the primordial golden age of peace, harmony, stability, and prosperity. It is a special occasion on which, for only a minute, we find ourselves back in the mythical time of primeval origins, when the cosmos was brought out of chaos. It is a moment that splits the time in two, between the old and the new, between destruction and creation. While the end of the old year is a winter festival of excess, dead veneration, and solstice celebrations, the beginning of the new year is a time dedicated to divination, conciliation, prophylaxis, and purification. For, according to Romanian folklore, the dead are released from their graves on the night of Christmas, and their souls roam the earth every night until the night of Epiphany on the 6th of January. In the days between Christmas and the New Year, people prepare feasts and memorials for the dead, and on the night of the New Year, they commune with them and ask them for favors in the year to come. But as soon as the celebration is over, they banish them, sending them back to their abodes, which they must reach before the Epiphany night ends. My name is Radiana, and as we stand at the threshold of a new year, I would like to share with you a drop of ancestral magic that you may carry with you in the year to come. In mythical thinking, the New Year celebration is a ceremony of symbolic death and rebirth of the cosmic force that permeates and animates all creation. Personified in many cultures as a solar divinity, its celebration begins in the days preceding the winter solstice, when the increasing cold and darkness made it seem to our ancestors that the sun would vanish and the world was headed toward perdition. Although the cosmic force seems to be perpetually regressing toward the chaos from whence it came, it regenerates itself once it reaches the point of destruction, and thus creation, at midnight, when the time is split between the old and the new year. The ancient customs, ritual acts, and magical practices performed during New Year celebrations symbolically reenacted the fear, disorder, and chaos generated by the aging and death of the divinity, and the restored balance, order, optimism, and joy after its rebirth at midnight. Such mythical scenarios representing the battle between the cosmos and chaos for creation are reenacted by groups and clans of carolers throughout Romania, from Transylvania to Moldavia. Although the specifics of the reenactment may vary from one region to another, the essential elements are always the same. The carolers gather in public places or in the households of people where they shout and chant verses that speak of the cosmic divinity being sacrificed. The divinity, played by a masked substitute, reenacts the moment of death and then revives with its entourage to wish upon the audience blessings for the year to come. The performance is always accompanied by so-called divine voices, produced by ritualistic percussion and wind instruments such as drums, bells, whistles, and others. In this reenacted scenario, the mask is an essential element. It represents a substitute for the year that dies and is reborn in full alignment with the degeneration of time. Although there are many types of masks with different roles and meanings that may be inspired by totemic animals, devils, saints, and different archetypes of the human psyche, the ones used on New Year's celebrations and likewise funeral vigils are commonly referred to as elder or ancestor masks. They represent the spirits of the departed and the mythical ancestors who return to usher in the new year. In Transylvania, the masked carolers are often referred to as pizzarăi, a word that arguably has cognate roots with the Hungarian pitergő, which means flattering, and the Hindu pitras, which are the departed ancestors in Hinduism. Today, the New Year's masquerade has become primarily a form of artistic entertainment with ethnic flavors that has been largely separated from its magical function. And yet, there is a solemnity that has been preserved and which can be sensed in the performers and their audience. There is, in everyone's soul, an unspoken and shared understanding that the reenactment has magical potency. But before the masquerade became what it is today, the performers would spend the preceding months thoroughly preparing for it, not only by crafting their masks and costumes, but also by growing into their responsibility to act as agents of the divine. And that is because wearing an ancestor mask is a great honor. Its wearer has a shamanic and even mediumistic function. They would embody a timeless memorial that spoke through them, and when they spoke, their voices would change. The mask would also release the wearer of their inner tensions by engaging in satiric games and dialogues. Thus, the ceremony was also purifying and liberating, poising both performers and audiences for a clean and fresh start. For folklorist Yonginoyu, the fundamental idea of transformation, of the mask hiding its wearer, of establishing subtle relationships with beings from other planes, led in different social conditions to a wide range of plastic representations in which the grotesque, as the limit of ugliness, is sometimes impregnated with a wave of irony, which is so specific to the Romanian spirit. Research indicates that the masquerade, which is still performed in one way or another throughout the Balkans and can be recognized in other parts of Europe as well, has its origins in the ancient procession dedicated to Dionysos, during the Athenian feast of Lenaia, celebrated sometime in January. When the stump was pressed and put into barrels, the participants who entered the procession of Dionysos wore animal masks representing sacred totems such as deer, sheep, and goats. They also dressed in animal skins, anointed their faces with wine yeast, and disguised themselves with vine, ivy, or oak leaves and branches. Some rode donkeys and rang bells, others danced and reenacted comic scenes, and many sang with their voices or other instruments. According to the Romanian folklorist and philologist Petru Karaman, the celebration of Lenaia, especially the masquerade, crossed the boundaries of the Greek ethnic space from early on, and during the Roman rule, it was intensively circulated by legionnaires, especially in the Eastern Roman Empire among the Thracian peoples. The custom of cross-dressing with masks or animal skins, one of the most characteristic Dionysian motifs, became very popular in the Romanized lands due to the common elements and calendrical proximity of Lenaia to the calends of January, which were later merged with the Roman winter festival Saturnalia, traces of which likewise survive today in many of our customs. And so, Romanians have preserved the masking custom to the present day as a time renewal practice that is not only performed during the New Year celebration, but also on important occasions in the fall calendar and traditional funeral processions. Romanian geographer Victor Tufescu described the masquerade during a funeral in a Moldavian village in 1938. He wrote that, "Suddenly, a fairly large group of masked people entered the yard, emerging from the darkness of the moonless night. They wore masks representing hideous human figures or the heads of wild animals. The clothing of many was improvised from animal skins. Some had belts of leaves around their hips. A shrill clarinet and drum music accompanied this stormy apparition. The masked men spoke with changed, high-pitched voices. They engaged in humorous conversations, not sparing anyone present, not even the dead. Everyone burst out laughing, but I had the impression that the scenes were meant to frighten the spirits." It seems that such masked carnivals at funerals and solstices have precise meanings in marking the thresholds of both calendar time and human time, revealing to us forgotten moments from ancient fertility rites and elements of sympathetic magic that were used in hunting or meteorological practices. But on a fundamental level, it simply reconnects us with the ancestral world and the spirit world which exists in the mythical time. Many agree that the winter holidays reveal to us a myriad of folklore reminiscences of a mythological degree, because they are the synthesis of all solemnities, customs, superstitions, and rites of the pagan cycle dedicated to the sun, and at the same time the cult of the dead. And so, for its part, the masked carnival reveals numerous folkloric reminiscences from the Greco-Thracian world, dedicated to Dionysus and his celebrations accompanied by masked henchmen. But if we look deeper, the masked carnival tells the story of the cosmogonic myth that emerged in agricultural civilizations and which had at its center the mystery of time renewal around the winter solstice. Historian of religions Mircea Eliade explained that with every new year, creation begins again, and the cosmogonic myth is considered the exemplary model of any creation. The cosmogonic myth is constituted as the imago mundi, for whose truth existence itself stands as a testament. He also believed that the time renewal masquerade and practices were related to the periodic return of the dead and involved all kinds of animal masks, from goats to bears, all of which we still encounter in today's masked carnivals. He also emphasized that the pagan heritage of the Daco-Thracians and Romans runs back to prehistory, where the cult of the dead and funerary mythology, agrarian rites, seasonal customs, and magical beliefs originated. And so this rich ancestral heritage tells the story of the primordial struggle between cosmos and chaos, one that Romanian historian Andrei Oșteanu described wonderfully, asserting that chaos does not disappear through the act of cosmogenesis. Just as all the elements of the cosmos pre-exist in a virtual and latent state in the matter of pre-cosmogonic chaos, the latter survives in the very structure of the cosmos. Disease, death, storm, drought, eclipse, earthquake, invasion of enemies, etc. are accepted as hypostases of chaos, which disturb the cosmic order. The principle of chaos claims its rights and primacy. It tries to bring the world back to its initial chaotic, pre-cosmogonic state. The universe, or any micro-universe, the body, the house, the village, is seen as an inalienable equilibrium, always oscillating between the state of chaos and that of the cosmos. In archaic and traditional societies, man does not behave as a passive spectator at this cosmic spectacle, but actively participates with mythical rituals in the regeneration of the time-worn cosmos and in the restoration of the cosmic order, which is temporarily and sometimes cyclically disturbed. And so, on the night of the New Year, Romanians, like many others, actively participate in the regeneration of the time-worn cosmos. They light solstice fires to help the sun ascend, and then they extinguish them at midnight to symbolize the chaos and death of the old year, without which the birth of the new year was not possible. They keep vigil at night, according to the custom inherited from the Romans, who, days after Saturnalia, celebrated the dead during Compitalia and Larentalia, and the week thereafter celebrated the two-faced god of the gateway and transition, Janus, at the beginning of the calends of January. Janus, the god with two faces, one to the past and the other to the future, is a god of light and the usher of the year. In his honor, the Romans celebrated New Year's night in a state of vigilance. And although early church fathers attempted to stop the pageant celebration of the New Year vigil, condemning the celebratory customs and exuberant parties as diabolical, the vigil survives to this day as Réveillon, with the denominator derived from the French réveil, which means waking or awakening, and it remains the most active participation of mankind in the renewal of time, with feasting and merriment setting the tone for the new year. It is also said that the vigil of man at a key moment of the year empowers and mimics that of the solar god, to whom it is thus instilled ritualistically a boost of vigor at a time when the cosmos must be recovered from the crisis and rebuilt. And it is in those very moments that the dead are invited to feast with the living and expected to offer prophecies and blessings for health, marriage, justice, and fertility. It is believed that contact with the miraculous dead, who are everywhere and nowhere, is made possible by particular charms and incantations performed in certain places on New Year's night, considered to be the most suitable moment for mediating between what is known about the past and what is desired to be known about the future. By invoking the power of the spirits through magical practices, people can learn what the weather will be like by drawing and reading meteorological calendars made of onion leaves and walnut shells. They can learn if the harvest in the new year will be rich, if they will be healthy or sick, if there will be peace or war, or if they will marry and what their betrothed looks like. But as soon as the festivity is over, the dead, alongside the spirits of troubles past, are chased to their abodes with loud noises, and they must return to the spirit world by Epiphany night. Otherwise, they risk becoming undead strigoi, stuck on this plane until the next year when the graves and heavens open again. Those who wore masks during the reenactment rituals either destroy or burn them for fear of the undead ancestors dwelling inside. Others, however, purify them through fumigation. And so, on the first days of the new year, the past and what is old are banished into the mythical dimension, so that creation starts anew, purified and wholesome. In contrast with the first days of January, which are dedicated to reconciliation and restoring balance, on New Year's Eve, people pay special attention to the preparation of meals, music, and various means of entertainment, such as games that are performed until morning. New Year's Eve excesses and masked carnivals are survivals of ancient ritual feasts in which the first act of the renewal ceremony of the year embodied the reign of chaos, during which all social values and rules were abolished. According to Mircea Eliade, this abandonment of the norms and the experience of all telluric and nocturnal possibilities are equivalent to the acquisition of the state of seeds that decompose in the earth, abandoning their form to give life to a new plant. And so, between the transformation of the time consumed, the past, and the regenerated time, the future, we may imagine a moment of unique and magical value, which does not resemble what was before in the old year, nor what is to come in the new year. Rather, it remains a mythical moment in which we indulged as we would have in the Golden Age. On that note, may you enjoy a blessed transition into the new year. Wherever you are in the world, and however you celebrate, remember that you are a part of a story of cosmic proportions. And when time split in two at midnight, at that moment, a passageway is revealed. Cross its threshold, and you may rejuvenate your magic for the year to come. Thank you for watching, and a Happy New Year.